Welcome to the Revolver Fan First podcast, where we go deep with artists on their history as a fan. We're very excited to be here in Sydney, backstage at the Luna Park venue with Chris from Motionless in White.
Hi.
Hi.
This is like the Australian Coney Island here.
It is. It's haunted by clowns.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, it is. You should tread carefully.
Do you happen to have any of the haunted clowns' numbers so that they can come on stage and enhance our show?
It would really enhance your show. I think the visual identity. Can you tell us a bit about your visual identity right now and what, as a fan of the visual, because you guys have always had that element, what kind of fed into what you've created now visually?
I think, of course, initially it was just that we wanted to look like the bands that we loved most. Every one of us has a different main band or two, but we all kind of feel like they all fit in the same dark aesthetic, and it was just like, well, we want to look like that. Over the years, tried to craft it to be something that felt unique to us, or that had something about it that was something that fans could latch onto, or like gave each person its own individual, unique look. Mm-hmm. Lately, it's just been very inspired by video game aesthetic.
Really, that's interesting. What are your main bands and what are your main video games? Who would you like to be? What avatar would you like to be in the world?
I would say the video game absolutely has been Cyberpunk. But that goes beyond just the video game. Like, we are big fans of Cyberpunk, synthwave, retrowave, and I feel that they all combine one way or another. At least to me, I love how they all look similar. Yeah. So that's a big thing for the aesthetic. And then the bands growing up that hit me hard in that realm were like AFI, Misfits, the ones that were like scary, black eyeshadow, or skull paint, whatever it was, just something that was like really dramatic and caught your eye because of how different and how like perfect it fit the music.
And it's good to it's good to descend into darkness. I was a teenage goth, and there's something about like a lot of those bands that bring together kind of heavy metal and darkness and electronic music and energy that kind of no other music does. Yeah. I think
you just found the perfect title for your next documentary. Yeah. I was a teenage goth.
Yeah, it's true. And you know what's up. You're a filthy goth on some level.
I have maintained the teenage goth all the way through my 30s here, so yeah.
It's important to maintain.
I'm consistent.
Yeah. So who was the first artist you put in a pedestal?
Wow. I think at this point I feel like our fans are so sick of me saying that Metallica is like the band for me. They were the band that just like did it all. They were the gateway to everything. So like anything Metallica as a whole was just like all I could fixate on. I wanted to learn every song, drums, guitar, anything I could, and that just became like my infatuation so early on.
Who was your favorite member?
James, for sure.
James is your diehard, like.
He, I feel like, at least from what I know from my knowledge of Metallica, he writes the majority of the music, and him and Lars, but he writes or has written all the iconic riffs, and he is an underrated shredder. All the attention goes to Kirk, which is amazing and great, but I think James shreds and doesn't get enough credit for like the soul that he plays with.
Yeah, and there's a lot of soul in there. We just had Scott Ian from Anthrax on the show. He was talking about like the early days of Metallica and Cliff Burton and how they worked together and how they developed in this like mystical journey they went on. How do you feel like as a band where you've developed, like what kind of skins have you shed from the early days?
I don't know. I think I kind of just, I feel like there's a part of any bit of my history and our history that I've carried with me, whether that be lessons of what not to do or what I didn't like and then worked around. I don't know. I feel like every album cycle we sort of recreate something, but it's always consistent with our roots that we want to have run through everything we do.
What are your roots in Pennsylvania scene you came up in? Because a lot of the younger hardcore bands kind of see you guys as a reference point. Like Knock Loose and like Dying Wish, and a lot of these bands reference you have referenced you on the show, and I know it seems like a bit different, but it's like there is a kind of generation of kids, and even bands like Will Ramos from Lorna Shore has talked about it, and he was a sing kid, back in the day, and yeah.
I was actually just gonna say he's actually the only person I've heard vocalize that like his first metal show was a Motionless show, which is so cool. Whether or not whether he chose to go to the show to see us or just happened to be there for another band, it's still so cool that, we could have been someone's first metal show. It makes me feel old as hell, but being such a big fan of Lorna Shore, I actually was just listening to their new single.
It's killer, dude.
Dude, it's so sick.
Will has brought so much to that band.
Yeah, completely transformed, and you can tell that fans are more excited about them than they've ever been, which is for extreme metal like that to have the growth is just awesome.
It's a beautiful thing. So, okay, who were you at age 15 musically? What was like your bedroom like? How did you like as a fan of music? What were you wearing? What were you doing? Like how ridiculous were you?
This is a great question to give some insight as to why our band has the diverse nature that it does. My looks rotated between, it could be any day was either the Jinko jeans and fishnets and the ball chain necklace, looked like a new metal kid, to then the next day was I looked like I was in Blink-182, to the next day I would look like Davey Havok. I just loved all of it so much, and I think in finding like what my identity was, I circulated between that a lot. And then of course the classic skater boy look was a big one for me. That was the most consistent. That was the go-to.
I suppose the other ones take a lot of effort. Skater boy is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I think skater boy is kind of the one that it's the go-to. You wake up, you throw on your jeans and your hoodie and your Vans, and you're good to rock.
It's you can be robust and did you have a favorite piece of clothing?
Actually, yes. I had this Vans hoodie in high school that I wore probably every single day. There's a photo of me in like a group end of the year or graduation photo with the whole gym full of all the graduating class, and I'm wearing that hoodie. And I can't find many other photos from high school, but I wore that hoodie, I swear, every single day, and probably the same pair of shoes and jeans almost every single day. Gross.
So you had it, yeah, but you explored things. You explored like subculture, and like I guess at that point subculture was pretty defined and stuff. Like people really got tribal and stuff. Was this something you shared with your mates? I mean, I know you guys started Motionless really early.
Yeah, this is still kind of predating Motionless. Motionless didn't start till right after high school. So at that time, I had multiple different friend groups. I had the goth friends, I had the skater friends, and they were all cool with each other, and we all hung out together sometimes. But it did feel like there was a separation between them, and whether I was hanging out with my friends that were wearing all black and had, the. What are they called? The gauntlet stuff?
Yeah, I know what like not gun belts, like the spikes.
Yeah,
the wristlet kind of. I also cannot remember the name of it.
Yeah, everybody was just cool, and I think when you're in high school, you kind of cling to friends that are alternative in any way because you're all collectively one way or another being bullied by the jocks and shit. So there was definitely a big respect and a shared.
Did you feel like an outlaw or an outcast or something different, or did you feel like you had like your crew?
I felt like an outcast within the walls of the school, but I felt so like free to be myself amongst my friends, especially in high school, because of that bond we shared. We would just drive. It was like the golden age of getting your driver's license and driving around listening to music for hours until your curfew or whatever it was. And those are some of the most like magical years of, I'm sure, everyone's lives when they get their license, and friends, music, everything.
What was your favorite song to sing in a car?
Let's see. I don't know if I have a memory of any one particular song. I think it was always the ones where like everybody agreed on certain bands. Sum 41 was a big band that we all used to sing along to each other.
Smashing it out.
Yeah. Still Waiting was a big one for my friend group at the time. So yeah, we'll just go with Sum 41.
Yeah, why not? Who was the first band you saw yourself in? As opposed to Pedestal, like you actually felt like they reflected back something of you.
That's a great question. I like that.
That's one of the first two.
Oh, we're only on two. Okay.
Yeah, actually, well, I'm skipping around like a ridiculous person. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably Bleeding Through, which is from the minute I heard the band till today, they maintain as my favorite band. I don't know. I guess just hearing the lyrics and something about that time frame of my life, it resonated so deeply, and being like a angry kid with so much anger and hatred towards so many people, just latched onto it, and it has stuck with me forever. Yeah.
How important? Who do you think does rage best? And rage, sorrow, and love.
Rage. Well, of course, I'm going to say Bleeding Through. I think Pantera does Rage pretty well.
They're a good rage band.
Yeah.
With groove.
Yes. Sadness. I mean, we're going over to like the new wave goth stuff, like The Cure and the Smiths and all that stuff. Sorrow. I don't know. I guess there's a crossover between all of them, one way or another.
This is true. What was the soundtrack to the last time you fell in love?
Oh man.
Everyone's got a soundtrack to that. Like that, there is one.
Probably Muse, actually. Yeah. Huge, amazing band.
Yeah, it's psychedelic. It's bold. It's excellent. Now you've just put out a record that's been pretty beloved. Hey,
has it? Yeah. That's good to know.
Don't you reckon?
I mean,
how do you feel about the reception to it?
I guess my brain was fixated on it being in Australia, that it's I don't know how it really has been. This is our first experience being in Australia in over 5 years, or 5 years at this point. So getting to see the reaction each night has kind of been the indicator of where we're at, and what not just the new record, but even the last record has really done for fans here. That it's cool to see that. I guess we're thrilled about the reaction globally.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about, because this is actually for an American audience. I'm just an outlier Australian. Okay. Revolver is an American mag. I'm the strange Australian they engage with to talk to you guys. Okay,
got it. Then America, of course, we had our highest charting numbers and highest sales since 2014. There's just so much cool stuff to be happy about, and I think what's awesome is that fans recognize that we've been really stoked this whole year with things getting back to shows coming back, records coming out, new songs. There's so much fun momentum happening that it's been really shared between the whole realm that is Motionless, and that's been really cool to be a part of.
It's a really beautiful thing to see. Like I had high hopes during the pandemic that we would have Roaring 20s, like the original Roaring 20s, and I feel like we're on the way to doing it. And it's great to have American bands back, because we didn't have them for a really long time, and it's a beautiful thing to that we've always had a big connection, and that's a nice thing.
Happy to be back.
Yeah. What's your favorite misheard lyric, or the most ridiculous one that you get wrong all the time, or used to? I mean, not everyone has one. You can have a moment to think about it, or misheard lyric of your own that you hear people singing back to you wrong.
That's a good one. That's a good one, because that one's frustrating. Of course, in the moment, you can never remember these things.
This is true.
Nothing's coming to mind.
That's a road testing a new question, and we gave it a whirl. Most amazing fan gesture.
Fan gesture.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if there's been one standout. I think I don't particularly love the idea of we're very grateful when fans bring us gifts, but it's feels weird because we're not asking for it, and they're doing it just out of the kindness of their heart to want to treat the band to something. It's appreciated, but never ever expected or required or asked for anything. And it's cool to see that fans like to do things like that. But I think the coolest things are when they share how much they've enjoyed either your show or maybe an experience meeting you. And I'll say what's really awesome is there was a moment that just took place with this new record that kind of was like a really big, it affected me way deeper than I ever thought something like that would, is that Justin, our bassist, right as the album came out, on TikTok, did a duet with a girl who had received her pre-order merchandise in the mail, and she was unboxing it, and her like pure excitement over the stuff that she was unboxing and having the music and the album, I don't know, that like I sat there and I just straight up cried because it was so powerful and so pure and just amazing to sit there and think like you can trivialize writing music and you could sit there and fixate on a line or a lyric or this or that and spend 2 years making an album. And then when you see that that's the result, it is indescribable how powerful that is, and it straight up melted me. So.
That's really beautiful. I mean, there is like a level, there's a dopamine rush, there's like an oxytocin rush, like there's all of those like emotions that people have with music, which you can't really replicate with anything else. Like, and I think it's probably the connection. Like,
absolutely. I mean, it's for as cliche as it sounds, it's the universal language. It's something that everyone can understand, and I think when you can feel something, it affects you deeper than just reading or watching it, and or hearing it. Like if you can hear something or watch a music video and hear the song and really like be immersed in the emotions, those are the things that attach to you and that you attach back to, and that's why music's so powerful.
What music videos really struck you as a kid?
That is another fantastic question. I'd have to think about that. No one of them comes to mind immediately, but I know that there's a good answer.
We can return to it.
Yeah, I'll think about that.
No, you can have a thing. Because the visual stuff is powerful, and obviously visual stuff is a big part of your band. And, you know, it evokes imagery and stuff. Scoring the end of the world. Okay, who would you cast in a movie about the end of the world? They can be musicians or actors. Okay, this is a movie about the end of the world. It's Armageddon. It's all over. Who would you like to lead the charge?
I'm going to throw this question to Ricky, our guitarist, who's the film guy in our group. Yep. He's not here right now. Did you hear that question, Rick? If you could cast anybody in a scoring the end of the world film, who would be like the lead role? We can come back to you if you want.
You can come back, but you are going to need to come over here and have this. The talking stick. Take a moment.
You can tell I'm really trying to drag these guys into this.
They're here and they're a part of it. They're ready. They're ready to take a whole thing. What's the most dynamite riff you've ever heard? And please do join us when you're ready. Go on. Do you want to come over?
No, I'm still thinking.
You're still thinking. Okay, have a moment. What's the most dynamite riff you've ever heard?
Enter Sandman all the way. Dude, it's like the most iconic. You just explode when you hear that riff, like when those drums come in and it just hits. It's nothing like it. And I know that that's like such a cliche answer, but tell me I'm wrong also.
It's truth. Well, it's like people like a slight generation older, like they had that, and it's so many heavy bands had Kurt Cobain as this, and you know, like even like Baroness, you know, all of these interesting bands. There's these moments, and they might sound cliched, but they had an impact, and it's cool when stuff reverberates around the world like that.
I will say that a riff that I think is the riff that defined a generation way after is Seven Nation Army. That riff is, I hope, will go down as one of the most iconic riffs on the planet because it's unstoppable.
That doesn't get enough credit. Hey, no one talks about the White Stripes and that. Like they really don't. That you're right.
Yeah.
It is it's a banging tune. Like you can't really argue with it.
That would if I didn't have such a a loyalty to my Metallica roots, I would have probably said Seven Nation Army. But that's a very fine, close second.
Yeah. Well, you can't mess with it. Okay, what's the most ridiculous argument you've had with your bandmates about music?
I don't know. Anybody have any answers to that? I think maybe all of us and our bassist Justin maybe disagree on some of the music he listens to, and it's not disagreeing like we hate it. It's just we like to poke at him about it.
Yeah. Well, what is the most ridiculous thing he likes?
I don't know. What's the most ridiculous?
No, they make fun of me because I listen to like 2006 emo, as they call it.
Do you want to come in and have a moment with us?
Not if it's just gonna be.
No, we'll be nice to you. It's about emo. Like your emo's fine. Come on. We'll have a little thing.
Crawl on over
Yeah,
here.
crawling over here.
Watch the camera.
Crawling over here. Justin's gonna join us for a minute. Look, here he is.
There we are.
So tell us about your emo roots and how ridiculous did you look when you were 15?
Not when I was 15. I was maybe 16, 17. I was a late bloomer. It was bad. I had the jet black hair covering the one eye. Girls' jeans from Hollister. Yeah, that was that. That was not good. I don't remember what else I wore. I didn't the band T-shirts like everybody else. Like the skin tight, way too small, Seosin and Under Oath T-shirts.
And you remain a devout emo fan?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the 80% of what I listen to is still the stuff that I listened to when I was junior or senior in high school. So
That's interesting.
I haven't progressed very far, I don't think.
I will say that there are far more bands that Justin and myself and everyone else bond over, of course. I think it's, again, we don't actually, like, I would say the only band that I don't like that he likes is Brand New. That's it, you know? Maybe everything else we could find a common ground.
Would you like to defend Brand New?
I don't know how somebody doesn't like them.
You
But
feel strong about Brand New?
feel very strongly about Brand New. Putting the personal issues with that band aside, just musically,
They're a strong.
they're one of my all-time favorite bands. We bond over Census Fail. We both really like Census Fail. Rick.
Right. You wrote a record called Scoring the End of the World. Is it feeling pretty dark over there right now? Is it feeling like the end of the world?
While we're not there presently, as of the Supreme Court ruling the other day, it's certainly very tragic to witness. And although we're not the direct victims of that, it does affect the country and the globe because of the messaging that it sends, and of course just the overall just absolute erroneous nature of its existence as a conversation. It's religious extremism called politics. It's just a place for people to find new ways to control others and impose their ideas on. I don't know. I'm trying not to.
It's important, but it's really important to talk about it because there's like a bunch of weird old overlords who basically just said we have control of your body, and it's almost like it's almost like a horror movie, like because there are these weird old people who really have no concept of the world. Like it's pretty dark, you know, like.
Fucking old people.
Like they're so old. They get to do it forever. They're so old.
George Washington.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. And then as a woman and stuff, like the horror of it, man, is just so brutal. And
I don't really think that it's about seeing the world for something or not. It's just about establishing an aspect of control over people. It's not like saying that they don't see the world for what it is now is irrelevant in my opinion, because it's not about making the world a better place. It's about tailoring our existence to their agenda and their religious beliefs, and it's fucking bullshit.
yeah, and there's no place for it. songs that have changed your life. Can you all pick one? Like just a song that's changed your life. An album is fine. Okay. Pick an album.
Well, you seem like
it's about being a music fan. He was born ready.
I'm gonna go with AFI "Sing the Sorrow."
Why is that? How did it change you as a person, an artist?
I don't know. I think that it was just getting onto it at the right time, right place in my life that just kind of, it accompanied me through a bunch of heartaches and good times, and it was just, that's all I can really say about it.
I love a good heartache soundtrack. Like that stuff, really, that cuts deep. Like it's a big deal. How about you?
Master of Puppets for sure.
Oh yeah, you're a devout Metallica fan. Does he ever get too into Metallica?
I don't think I've ever heard him listen to Metallica once. He's a liar.
Yeah, I don't think he actually likes it. He's
not a fan. It's all lies.
He's more of a Taylor Swift kind of guy.
I'm not lying. You're a Taylor Swift guy?
Absolutely.
Die-hard Taylor Swift fan? Yeah.
Absolutely.
What's your favorite record?
Folklore for sure.
There was no hesitation. There was absolutely none.
No shame here. No. None at all.
What strikes you about the old Swift? Or the young Swift?
On Folklore, I think that she's a phenomenal writer. She writes most of the stuff either herself or very, very heavily involved with it. She's so smart in every facet of her musical and tell me I'm wrong. Everything she does is genius, and I think she's a brilliant songwriter. I love her honesty and Folklore a lot, and more than anything else, you can feel the songs, and they feel so genuine and so relatable, and it's just awesome.
What Motionless and White song would you like to do a duet with her on?
A song called Another Life.
Make it happen. It could be real. It could be a real thing. Taylor, come on board. Come on board. Okay. What, was that aggressive?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was your turn.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what's going on?
I'm getting into
Messenger's August Burns Red.
Yeah?
Just because it just made me, I was just like, wow, this guy is so good at drums. What the fuck is going on here? I don't even know. And the song that made me buy a double kick was 94 Hours by As I Lay Dying.
Something to write home about, the Get Up Kids.
Yeah?
That's a nice pop punk emo record throwback for you.
Yeah?
That was my first real. That was the record that first started steering me into what I am now. Before that, I didn't really know what any of the pop punk or what this whole alternative realm of music was until that record. And yeah, that was a game changing record for me.
Is the world on a good trajectory or a bad one? Yeah?
Everything sucks.
What about the world of music? Yeah, do you feel excited?
I think it's good.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
2010 sucked.
That's a while ago.
I know, but I'm saying we are recovering from that. I feel in the metal world at least. Yeah. I loved it when I was a kid. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but the era of metalcore in 2010, not the greatest.
Yeah. Who was failing at it?
Who was failing?
All of the big bands.
She really wants me to say.
I not have a tiny bit of juice.
Motionless and White was corny, okay? No, I'm just kidding. But no, I don't know. It was just back then. It was you had to look cool on stage, and that's all that mattered, really.
Deep V-necks
Or just having hand tattoos and nothing else.
Yeah, totally.
That era. That was the era of that.
That was
throat tats, hand tats. But that was
2010 was the height of the scene metal bands being 80s hair metal.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of that, I feel like.
Do you agree?
I think that the music industry as a whole hit a brick wall once streaming happened because nobody knew how to navigate around that. And I feel like ever since that happened, it's been kind of just a slow, gradual, okay, we're figuring this out. We're figuring out how to work the industry around all of this. And it feels like it's on the right path. It's not there yet, but it feels like it's getting to a point where it could be acceptable.
Oh, can you tell us a bit about each of your characters? And then we'll finish. What's your character on stage?
He doesn't have a name. I think it.
He's
Miscusi is the name of the character, but I like putting all the makeup on. You just tap into like your alter ego, and you just do whatever the fuck you want, and you just ride that. You ride the energy of the crowd, and the creepier they think I am, the happier I feel. So
it's a beautiful thing.
yeah, it is beautiful. I like people to look at me and go, "What the fuck is he doing?" That's like my favorite thing. So
That's beautiful. Your character.
I wouldn't really feel that it's like a character. I feel like it's like the ultimate realization of like just me being out, like coming out of my shell.
As a vocalist as well, I suppose there's nothing more personal, and like there's no gap between you and like there's no instrument between you and the emotion of it.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like I spent a lot of my life and somewhat of my present life within some sort of shell, and going on stage is like that time it's the outlet. That's why I love doing it so much. And then getting to like connect with fans on a personal level. My character is a mix, to answer the question and it's a mixture between really serious, like go up there and put on a show, but then also be really stupid and make dad jokes and try to make people laugh so that they feel like they're getting to know us as people as well as performers and be a part of the show.